What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Cody Campbell with High Ground Gaming, and today we are unboxing and reviewing two products. We have the GameSir X2 Bluetooth, which is a smartphone controller, and then we have the GameSir F7 Claw, which is a tablet controller. I'm going to start by walking you through the specs on both of these, then we'll go to the unboxing. I'll open them up and let you take a look. After that, we'll go to the review portion when I've had some time to play with them, and I'll give you my thoughts, and then we'll give you High Ground Gaming's final score. Don't go anywhere. So the GameSir X2 Bluetooth is designed to work wirelessly with both iPhones and Androids. It has an Xbox layout which uses micro switch buttons, and it fits phones up to 173 millimeters. It has a 3-level turbo function and a 500 milliamp per hour battery, which is supposed to last up to 20 hours. Now the F7 Claw is supposed to be for tablets. It basically uses these suction cups to stick to the back of the tablet. It adds the L1 and L2, R1 and R2 buttons on each side, and also adds some turbo buttons on each side. Pressing and holding the turbo button for 3 seconds is supposed to activate a record mode, so we'll have to see how that works. And it also has a 90 milliamp per hour battery. And even though the battery is smaller on this one, it's actually supposed to last 120 hours. So I don't know if I'll even be able to test that all the way. We'll see if it dies in the week or two that I'm using it. But that's it for specs on these guys. Let's open them up. I'm gonna go ahead and start with the X2, the Bluetooth one. Oh, it comes in a nice little carrying case. That's a good touch. Feels good. It's got a little GameSir. I think that's just a sticker. It comes off. Also, side note, I love it when buttons don't feel cheap. These don't feel like they're gonna break super easy. Let's open it up. Okay, so you've got some space in here. Smartphones don't really take games, so I guess you could put your charging cord up there or something like that. What do we got in here? All right, so we've got some extra grips for the thumb pads. Looks like these are a little larger and more textured than the ones that come on there. And it's got a USB Type A to USB Type C cable. That's probably for charging. Looks like a guitar pick. I don't know what that is. All right, so in the box we had a user manual, and we also have a sticker. So I guess you can slap that on your phone, make the whole thing branded together. It looks like it has a little bit of a protective sleeve to hold it in place there. Just pop that out. Okay, so looks like it just sort of retracts, and then these little rubber bits sort of grip it in place. The back's very grippy too, so the whole thing's really just gonna hold your phone in without needing to actually click it in place. But as you can see, this is entirely designed to work with Bluetooth. There are no connective ports on either side. The joysticks actually have a real nice feel to them. They're very tense. And then the buttons are really clicky. I'd say that the shoulder buttons are almost too clicky. Kind of loud actually, but the ABXY buttons are very nice. You can see it's got the standard Xbox layout, and the whole thing's pretty comfortable in your hands. It's not entirely ergonomic. It's not designed to like have those handle grips that come out and come into your palms, but there is a curvature to it, and there's some nice rubber there to provide some grippy texture to it. I can see this being pretty comfortable. More comfortable than, say, a 3DS or something like that on its own. I like it, just from using it like this. I believe this is the turbo button here. I'm not sure. I'll have to play with that a little bit. But overall, good first impression on this one. It looks nice. And let's get on to the F7 Claw. So this one is pretty unique. I don't think there's really much else like this out there. I think this is a pretty unique design. There's some stuff for tablets out there, but not a lot, not like with phones. So as you can see, it's sort of just inlaid in the box. It's got these nice little soft sleeves over it. What else do we have in here? Again, charging cable, USB type A to USB type C. And underneath everything, we've got, okay, so this is the extended warranty. It's got some Q codes on there. Another one of these, I don't really know what that is. More stickers. Stickers are always important. User manual. And even more stickers. Forget the claw, I just want the sticker pack. All right, so as you can see, these clamps sort of come up and you just place your tablets on there. The suction cups sort of hold it, and then this sort of pins them down. On the back, we have, this is the L side, so that's your L1 trigger, L2 trigger. They're very clicky, very loud. There's a power switch on the side there. There's your charging port. And then here's your turbo button. I believe there's a turbo button on both sides, charging port on both sides. You only got the one cable, which means you're gonna have to charge these separately. But if they really last 120 hours, then that's not a big deal because you can charge them separately one time and then they'll last ages. We'll be right back with the review section. Don't go anywhere. Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. You know, people think being a tech YouTuber is all fun and games, and it is, but we need subscribers. So why don't you go down there, click the like button, click the notification bell, click subscribe, and join us on the high ground. We're gonna start our review by talking about the F7 Claw. Now, there's quite a bit to talk about these, and I'm gonna be upfront with you right from the get-go. Most of it is not positive. I will start by saying though that they are fairly well constructed. Before you attach them to a tablet, they feel really good in your hands. They have a nice ergonomic grip. There's a very good texture to them. The buttons are clicky, even if the triggers are maybe a little too clicky, but they feel generally good and like they're well made. I wish that were actually the case. I'm gonna start by talking about how they work. They don't actually connect via Bluetooth like the X2 does. They actually physically control the tablet via these little rubber nibs on the claw itself. So I'm gonna attach this real quick. So when they fit on the tablet, these little buttons actually press down on the screen. And that's pretty much all they do. So you're gonna have to line these up with actual physical buttons on the screen of your tablet. Now that really limits the library of games that you can actually play on here because you can only play games where there are buttons that physically correspond to the buttons that these place on here. Now that does work with games like Call of Duty and games like PUBG. Those games do have buttons specifically lined up with where these claws fit on most screens. That's more or less what they're designed for. But that makes them really limited because only people who play those specific games will really be able to get much use out of this. I did also play a little bit of like Super Mario Run to try out how it would work with just general side of screen pressing, and it did work for that fine. It didn't add any specific advantage to the way you play the game, but it was a more comfortable way to hold the screen, and it worked out fine. The bigger issue is how it holds the tablet. So those suction cups do not stick as well as they should. They do feel like they're pretty firm, but look, you can see even as I'm holding it, it's already sliding. You have to physically grip it to the tablet for it to work. And if you let go of that grip, then it starts to slide, which can not only cost you in game when it slides off the buttons it's supposed to be pressing, but it could actually endanger your tablet. If the tablet were to slide out and drop to the floor, you could have some controllers ruin a $1,000+ piece of equipment. I also tried it on a smaller tablet. I tried it on my wife's Fire 8, and it definitely held on to that tablet better, but then the issue became the fact that the claws themselves were obstructing a larger portion of the screen and maybe weren't lining up so well with those buttons. GameSir has on their page that this works with all Android and iOS tablets. That's technically true because all it's doing is pressing down on touchscreens. It's technically compatible with any operating system. The issue is more whether or not it fits well and lines up well. And so that becomes more of an issue with size than operating system. I looked online and found a couple people with iPad minis that said they were having really good experiences with this. But there were also a litany of people like me with larger tablets saying that it didn't fit or it was sliding around and stuff like that. Apparently the sticker pack that they sent with it, the larger sticker pack that I showed in the unboxing, helps to grip the suction cups if you put that on the back of the tablet. But I really don't like the idea of you having to put special stickers on the back of your tablet just so you can use these little gizmo-y controllers with it. Maybe some people would be okay with that. I personally didn't want to put them on my expensive tablet, so that was kind of out for me. So this one MSRPs at $39.99, which I think is already a little expensive. And then when you factor in the slippage issues and the limited use case that they're actually good for, and on top of all that, just kind of the loud clickiness of the buttons and some other general stuff, I really don't see a lot of people feeling like they made a good purchase on this. So we're giving the F7 Claw a 1.5 out of 5. This one I think was a big miss. A lot of users might just be better off getting a Bluetooth one that actually has more of an Xbox layout with buttons and stuff. I think that would work better for you. Now, let's talk about the X2. Now, I also had kind of a mixed experience with this, but overall, much more positive. As you can see, it fits my Pixel 5 great. Even with a slim case on it, I have this little leatherette case that just sort of narrowly grips around it. I do feel like a larger case probably wouldn't fit in here, like an OtterBox or something like that. I don't have one of those, so I couldn't really test that, but this case barely fits, so I don't feel like anything bigger would be super secure in here. So if you do have a big case like that, you might have to take your phone out of the case in order to use this. Just a heads up. Overall, this one feels a lot better. It feels much more sturdily constructed. The buttons seem to work better. Again, the shoulder buttons, for whatever reason, GameSir likes these really clicky shoulder buttons. I like a clicky feel to my buttons, but I don't really want that super loud pinging noise. I don't want to be the annoying guy on the bus that's making all that noise while everybody's sitting around me. The inside is very grippy and it holds phones really well. I never had any issues with slippage or anything like that. The grips are pretty ergonomic. They don't come out super far, but you wouldn't really want that. This will fit in your pocket pretty well, and it also feels pretty comfortable to hold. It's kind of a nice compromise between the two. The thumbsticks are pretty sturdy, and the ABXY buttons all feel very good. A lot of tactile functionality here, and I really enjoy the feel of the thing itself. It's when you connect it to a phone that more issues kind of start to unfurl. First of all, Bluetooth is not the best connective option for gaming. It's fine, it's pretty typical in a lot of things, but in general, Bluetooth tends to lag every once in a while. And I definitely felt that in one or two games where there wasn't the odd button got missed or something like that. It's not the end of the world, it's still perfectly playable, and the amount of times that it comes up is so minimal that there are a lot of people who are not even gonna notice it. But I could see if you're competitive with your online mobile gaming, then it might really bother you. So that is something to think about. Overall, if you have the option for a USB Type-C connection, they do make another version of this that has a USB Type-C port. Or they have the Razer Kishi, I think it's called, is their version of it. And those two are probably much better options than this if your phone has a USB Type-C port, which is most non-iPhones these days. But if you have an older phone or if you have an iPhone, then you don't have USB Type-C, so neither of those controllers are going to work for you, and that's when this becomes a much better option. There were a few quirks to it though. First of all, my phone, for whatever reason, recognized this as a keyboard. It didn't really seem like much of an issue, except a lot of games started giving me keyboard prompts as opposed to controller prompts. And also, anytime I had to type in like a username or a login or something like that, the on-screen letters wouldn't pop up for me to use the touch screen. It wanted me to use the connected keyboard, which of course this isn't. So I had to disconnect this from the Bluetooth, type in something, then reconnect it each time, which was kind of annoying. I also found that certain games didn't really want to recognize the Xbox schematic. It recognized the joysticks, which was still useful. I still managed to use the joysticks for directionality and then the on-screen buttons, and I still found that that was a comfortable way to game, and having the joysticks added a little bit more fine control, especially in games like Call of Duty and stuff like that. But it was tricky to figure out how to get them to actually recognize the ABXY buttons and the triggers and stuff, which is kind of the point of buying something like this. So I didn't get a chance to test a whole bunch of games, but I imagine that there were quite a few that had this issue. I looked online and I saw that some people had the same issue as me, other people didn't. It might depend on your operating system, or it might have more to do with the specific games that I was playing. So this one MSRP is at $59.99, which is expensive. This is more expensive than getting an Xbox Core controller. Now, if you want to get an Xbox Core controller and get a little attachment to the top, it'd probably cost about the same for both of those things as it would to buy this. I think those would work better. But if you don't like that mounted experience where the phone's over the controller and you want that more Nintendo Switch-like experience, this might be the best option for people who don't have a USB Type-C port. So in that instance, I can see that there is a very viable use case for this in spite of its flaws. I still think that $60 is a little expensive, but I can see where GameSir is coming from in that most users don't really have much other choice. So in that spirit, we're actually giving this one a 3 out of 5. Still not a fantastic score, still not in love with it, but I could see the viability of this a lot more than the F7 Claw, so I wanted the score to reflect that. That's going to do it for us today, though, folks. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. We've got a bunch more reviews on the way, and I'd hate for you to miss any of them. Okay, thanks for watching. Happy gaming.